Are you just getting off?
No, I've been off for a while. My buddy Chris is his mom and dad are in town, um, and so they're having a dinner here, and I'm like, oh, I'll stop by after, and they ended up getting here early, so I just ate a little bit with them, and yeah, now I'm out here outside of the restaurant. It's one of my favorite spots here in Brooklyn. So
That's what's up, man. Ryan, how you been?
I've been well. I've been well. How about you, man?
I've been all right, man. I just put the little lady to bed. So that
Very
that's a
nice.
whole that's a whole that's a whole thing. Um,
Dad life,
yeah, exactly. Dad life is good, man.
girl dad life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very tiring.
I
But yeah,
hear you.
man, bro, it's been a long time since we spoke.
Yes,
In
sir.
this format, you're still to this day one of the funniest. Nah, you got to be the funniest guest we've ever had.
Thanks, man.
So what's been going on, man? Last time when we first started talking, it was Path. You still doing Path?
No, I still speak, but living in New York, with the podcast. I mean, it's this city. If you know anything about New York, it's just so expensive, right? And I would have loved to have been able to like do Path full time, but like monetarily, you have to pay rent, you have to live. So, like Path is just I am Path, right? It's just kind of my life's journey, and me sharing my story with people that I meet on the street, kind of talking about my experiences, whether that has been like personal or professional, kind of a combination of both, and kind of the obstacles I've found and had to overcome, since I've been out here. Um, it never ends, man. Regardless if I'm doing a podcast or I'm just living my life. I live in, I think, in my opinion, the greatest city in the world. And it's been awesome just to meet people out here, people with kind of similar backgrounds to mine,
Yeah.
completely different backgrounds. It's been interesting.
For those who don't know, what is Ryan's in summation? What is Ryan's path? Because I know that's why I'm so happy to see you. So
Yes.
happy, bro. You've come a long way, man.
So, yeah, for me, my path is, for folks that are watching who don't know, I bounced in and out of prison from the time I was 17 years old till, 34 was when I last came home. And just, I was a kid who got kind of fell in love with the streets and romanticized the street life and, dealing drugs and robbing banks, just surfing and traveling and doing all of this fun, exotic stuff. And, that stuff ended up costing me years of my life in prison. So the path, especially since I've been home, was really just trying to educate people onto what it's like for folks like myself. Because there's a lot of us that come home, from prison. There are a lot of us that go into prison, and there's this stigma that's attached to us that we're all thugs and animals. And so the biggest thing for me, it's really just trying to show people, hey, this guy, he's a funny guy, he's a cool guy, he's a nice guy, and there's a lot of people like me that deserve second, third, fourth, fifth chances when they come home. If they want to do the right thing, they should be afforded that opportunity. So me living my life day to day, proving people wrong, showing people that, there are good people out there that have, done bad things, and now I'm out here just trying to encourage young people to kind of, young and old people to kind of like a different way. And, there's a different way that you can live your life that isn't going to jeopardize your freedom,
Yeah,
as all the hipsters walk by on the sidewalk here in
yeah,
Brooklyn.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, is there from when you joined the professional workforce? Was
Say
it
that again.
when you joined the workforce, right? When you started working, like
Yeah.
in the startup workforce, I say, because you held jobs as soon as you got out, you've been working your butt off. Uh, how did the work come? Was it hard to adjust? Were you just like, bro, I've done things, I know how to talk to people, I know how to do this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready. Were you terrified when you first got into an office and you were just like, what the hell is going on?
I'm too stupid to be terrified. you know, I honestly like I'm, but I guess, yeah. I mean, the short answer is I was, just due to, like, when I went away, technology wasn't like, I'm an old man, I'm 47 years old now. Um, so there was no texting, there was no like internet really. It was like in its infantile, stages. And so I don't know anything about Excel spreadsheets. I don't know anything about any of this stuff. And I've always been a hustler and a salesman. Um, and the fortunate thing for me is I'm also a student, right? So the stuff that I didn't know how to do, I would watch and I would ask questions. I think one of the biggest things that handcuffs a lot of men and women, not just incarcerated folks, but people in general, is the lack of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to look stupid. And so for me, going into places, I made a joke out of it. You know me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, listen, man, what is this? How do I turn this on? And, luckily my personality won a lot of folks over. So, it was difficult, because it's like I have no idea how to do any of. I know how to sell. I don't know all of like the technical aspects of going into, like you said, startup culture, being in an office space. Um, how should I act? How should I speak? Is my sense of humor going to be maybe off-putting or offensive? So I was learning how to like toe those lines, and I'll be honest, I didn't do a great job of that of that stuff when I first entered into the workforce. Where I got pulled aside a couple times, like, Ryan, listen, man, hey, bro, you can't talk about that shit here, And it was it was interesting, but it was enlightening, and it was a beautiful thing at the same time. But speaking to that point, also the downside of that, right, is being somebody who has a record, and there's this stigma that's attached. There's this thought like, okay, man, I'm crushing it. Why am I not getting promoted? Why am I not
Mm.
being given some of the opportunities that I'm seeing these young guys that have just come out of college that aren't doing half as well at the job as me that are getting? So it was kind of bittersweet in a lot of ways. You do a great job and you expect it to be rewarded for that, especially in the sales field, and I think unfortunately that stigma still exists. People think that they've done enough just to give you a job, when I'm actually looking to progress and like grow. So I feel I was stunted in a lot of ways. And some of my inabilities, or my lack of understanding for some of the technical aspects of the business, that stuff wasn't explained to me either. It's
Mm.
kind of just like, hey, we gave this kid a job, he should be happy with that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Did that affect you in terms of when it's time to negotiate, when it's time to like things like salary or push for more? Does the fact that you've been incarcerated give you pause and you're like, maybe I shouldn't say anything. I don't want to rock this. Or
Shit,
no, you
not
go crazy.
anymore, it doesn't. Yeah, at first, yeah, absolutely, because you're just like, imagine applying, right, at hundreds of places, right? Hundreds of places. And, I didn't have much time home under my belt. I did not have, a resume that inspired confidence in a lot of these tech companies, right? Because, I had huge gaps in my work history because my ass was in prison. And it was like, when I first went in, I got lowballed, but I was just so happy. I'm like, oh, I have health insurance. You know, I'm making, 60K a year. I thought I was balling, you know, when in actuality, if I would have known how to negotiate and leverage more, I could have been making a lot more than I was. But, there's no greater teacher in life, I think, than experience. So now, when I'm going into places, and I just started a new position, which is awesome, and I'm crushing it. But it is being able to negotiate and say, hey, nah, man, I've done this, and this. This is, my KPIs are this. I've been in the top, 5% of the sales pool of my last couple of companies. So now I understand how to leverage those things. And the good news is now when these companies do background checks, my convictions were so long ago, they don't even show up anymore.
Nice.
Gang, gang. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Ryan, I met you were in you were both in the Boston area. You moved to NYC in 2020, right?
Yes, Brooklyn. Yeah.
What's it like being there?
It's Christmas every day, baby. I'll tell you, outside of the fact that it's, so expensive and I'm selling my plasma to pay rent, um, I'm, I'm not really doing that unless you know somebody. Uh, no, it's amazing, Joel, to be honest with you. Like, I've met just such an amazing group of people out here. One of my best friends from childhood lives out here, and I used to come out here when I was in Boston all the time. And when I tell you it's the best move I could have ever made, even though it's super expensive, it's very stressful. The city will chew you up, dude, and just spit you out. There's no place that I'd rather be. I love it here.
Nice. Is this the company? Is it remote? Is it in New York, or is it you got to go to
Yeah,
work?
so they're on Wall Street, like in the financial district in Manhattan, and it's a mix of both. It's in office. I'm in office right now because I'm training, but once I'm done with training, I'll be remote. I'll probably go in 1 or 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean it's amazing, dude. It's the food, like the culture, the people, the nightlife. It's just there's nothing like New York, Brooklyn specifically. All the other boroughs, whatever, but like Brooklyn specifically is just amazing. My girlfriend won't like to hear that. She lives in Astoria. She lives in Queens, but I love it here, dude. It's
Nice,
amazing.
man. Yeah, I will say New York, once you get past like the touristy fluff, is it is what it is, but it's good. You just got to be in the mood for it and ready for it, and get
Yeah,
out of Manhattan, get out of Midtown, and there's just certain things cities can't replicate, like just being able to eat whenever you want. Like
yeah,
just something. There's just the most stuff happening. Like there's times
absolutely.
I'll be in DC and it'll be like midnight or 1. You're like everything's shut down. That's weird. Yeah, but it's because it's the New York effect. It's the only place where everything's just open all the time and accessible. So no, I understand that.
Absolutely. I'm
Um,
walking into the bodega at 3 a.m. to get that chopped cheese. Where else can you do it? Not in Boston. You
no,
know,
absolutely
um,
not.
yeah, man. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So new gig, doing sales. I like it. I like it. Has New
Yep.
York motivated you to do any other types of projects, or not just like just the spirit of being an NY? Have you there been new hobbies or
Yeah.
passions you've been like, what, I might have to mess with that?
Yeah. I mean, once I kind of like get my feet underneath me in this new position, the money is just a lot better. Like,
Nice.
where I can actually, over the next 6 to 12 months, I'll be in a spot to where, God willing, I want to jinx myself, but to where I'll be comfortable. And once I get there, I think that will give me the freedom, even with my job, to kind of bounce some ideas off of, my boss, to incorporate looking at formerly incarcerated people, because I didn't realize on my LinkedIn, the LinkedIn that I applied has all of my history. I thought I applied on my other
Mm.
washed LinkedIn. So when I went into interview, he's like, so I was a teenage felon on Vice. So I was like, fuck. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You were on
So,
that?
my boy. I was like, oh, I'm definitely not getting hired. But, um, I, again, right, I think there's so many springboards for people who have been incarcerated, men and women who have been incarcerated, to get shots. And like, it's not like that motivates. It's not that it doesn't motivate me. I mean, the thing that motivates me to be successful is self-preservation, and it's me, and it's my name. And I want to be great at whatever I do. But I think, the other side of that coin is, well, imagine I am great and this person knows I'm a formerly incarcerated person. This could open the door for somebody else to get that opportunity. Paying it forward is more than just like, um, talking or like saying. It's about showing people, hey, I've been in these places and look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that guy or that woman who wouldn't have given somebody an opportunity may now open the door for somebody else to come in, and hopefully, they crush it, and those stigmas and those barriers, are knocked down, and more of us can get opportunities at real sustainable income, not just working dead end jobs to where people don't get it. Like the reason so many men and women go back to prison, people come home, they want to do the right thing. A lot of us, we do. But like, especially like in a city like New York, you cannot survive on $50,000 a year. I mean, you can. You're going to be eating ramen noodles, and you probably have some investments in the bank where you have some savings. But most of us that come home, we don't have any of that stuff.
Right.
So it's a difficult situation. So me doing what I'm doing, if I can open those doors up for some folks, that would be great. How y'all doing?
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's not like the whole lock them up, throw away the key. You're like, bro, this country is like it's built for that type of deviousness. Like it's hard, man. It's a hard country to be in, bro. Like especially now,
Absolutely.
like it's ridiculous. I do think there is a ton of opportunity for the stuff you do. Like for example, I have a friend I was who was incarcerated before, doing extremely well now, and I was like, bro, like what people don't realize is there are people who have been in jail before, been in prison before, who had the same set of skills and skill sets as people who have not. And this friend was dabbled in the pharmaceutical trade, and I go, why don't think about a book where I have 1,000 business books, sales books.
Uh-huh.
But what if there's a book that had like, you remember the 10 Crack Commandments?
Of course, Biggie.
Yeah, right.
Come on, baby, I'm in Brooklyn.
What if there's a book that has 10? Just start with 10 like skills, like saturate your territory, all sales related stuff. But then you made an analogy with something apropos to selling drugs, like because it's literally, no offense, it's the same shit. Like if you're a pharmaceutical company that's selling whatever type of painkiller,
Right.
the way they saturate territories, fear of loss, the way they do it, pricing, all of that stuff, it's the same thing, except when you're committing whatever. If you're selling drugs, you're just thinking, oh, I'm just selling this thing and I'm trying not to go to jail. But it's like, no, literally the tactics you were using to like the prices you're memorizing, the inventory stuff that you're doing, it's literally the same thing that someone else is doing, probably in a related field, except it's legal. So I'm like, bro, why don't you just write a text where it's like this? I did this. I started with this amount of money. I bought something, upped it, and then sold it for this. And
Joel, stop talking about this, bro. We need to copyright this. We're gonna take this shit offline, baby. But no, honestly. So when I was, and I think I told you about like when I was at Strive, when I was facilitating this professional development workshop for formerly incarcerated men and women. This is what I talked about in the workshop. I'm like, listen, you sold drugs, networking, marketing, sales. It's all transferable. If you rob banks, let's say you rob banks, maybe I robbed the bank or two. Who knows what's gonna happen, right? But it's the preparation, the preparation that goes into doing things like that. It is a job if you take it seriously. Like I took crime seriously because I didn't have a 9-to-5 job. I didn't want one. I mean, let's be honest. Who wants a 9-to-5? I would like to just hang out in Brooklyn and just like go check out art. And, you know what I mean? Like go to Rockaway Beach and just hang out with my friends daily. But the reality is all of these things are transferable into corporate America. All of them. But people just don't get it.
Yeah.
But also, we don't get the chances, though, too. That is the truth.
Yeah.
We don't get them. Like, people are like, oh, no, something came up. We don't, the position, we loved you like half an hour ago, but we ran your record, and now we don't really love you that much.
Right.
You know? So it is. But I agree with you. I think that people think like the whole George Floyd situation. Everybody's like, oh, it's getting so much better. A lot of that was window dressing, It was a lot of that was just aesthetic, like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter, we support everybody, and the reality is their actions don't support that, right? They don't support that we actually support and want to help you. And it's sad, because there's a lot of people that, they want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
They just need that shot. They need that opportunity. And for me, like working on Elizabeth Warren's senatorial campaign, being on Vice, those are things that helped give me a leg up that other people in my situation that felt the same way as me were just as talented, even more talented, maybe much more business acumen than I had, didn't get those opportunities. But I was fortunate and I was lucky. But a lot of brothers and sisters, they don't get those breaks.
Yeah.
You know.
And now is the time where we need folks like you the most, hardworking, fearless folks, because like especially now, like you're the economic downturn, companies are like trying to figure out what to do. People are tightening their belts. These are the people who work. These are the people who know how to operate in those circumstances. That's why you see things like layoffs and companies closing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you give the same people the same jobs. You need to have someone on your team who's like, I've been here before. I know how to handle this. This is like I got it out the dirt. This is how we do this. Let's get dirty. Let's sell these things, man. Let's get out. And that's what people need to take a look at. Alternative hiring, man. You got to look at everyone out here, bro. There's people out here who could probably turn things around. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And to that point, diversity, right? True diversity and inclusion, right, are where the best ideas are born. Because you could have, Larry and Chad and, and they're brilliant guys, but it's one line of thought. They think the same, there is no diversity there. It's just, okay, we come from the same place. We've kind of experienced the same things in life. We really don't know about adversity or what it really means to be down or to be hungry. Why not bring in people who have been in the gutter, who have literally been in the mud to help bounce ideas off each other, right?
Right.
Because and I think the sad thing too now is we live in a society to where, if you're a middle-aged white man, you're demonized naturally. It's like, just like you're like, oh, you're canceled or you're this or you're that. Or, I don't agree with that. And I never will. I think the best ideas are born from a bunch of different people kind of coming together, right?
Yeah.
Inclusivity is just that. And it's a beautiful thing. And unfortunately, it's wasted on a lot of these dummies. And a lot of these Chads and Brads, they're not open-minded and forward-thinking enough to understand, like, hey, we should listen to this dude. Or we should listen to this woman. This person went through the penal system and came out with like their mind intact and they're ready to hustle. They're ready to go, and they're just looking for an opportunity.
Absolutely.
It's there is a lot of potential being wasted, unfortunately. And for us, there's only so much that we can do to try to fix that. You got to invite me to the table. If you invite me to the table, some magical stuff can happen. But if we're constantly left out of the conversation, you're going to see a lot of what you're seeing now, a lot of instability, people not knowing what to do, where to go. The ideas aren't fresh. They're the same stale things that people have been doing for the last 20 years, and that stuff doesn't work.
Yeah.
So,
Ryan, when are you going to start public speaking, man? What are we doing? When are we going to...
Listen, man, get me some paid gigs, bro. I'll start tomorrow.
All right. We got some showcases coming up. I'm going to let you know. Well, we got to do it again.
Yeah,
man.
for real. Oh, Joel, brother. I love you, bro.
Yeah.
I love you. And for those of you who don't know, when I first was getting my stuff started, Joel gifted me some podcasting equipment that I actually gave to this Russian girl here in New York. She's an absolute loser. She didn't use any of the stuff that I gave her. And she's just sitting in her apartment. I'm like, hey, are you going to use this stuff? Because I upgraded my equipment and she didn't. But yeah, Joel, whenever you need me, dude, just give me a shout. As long as it's after 5 p.m. If it's on a weeknight, I'm there, bro.
Let's do it. All right, man. This has been awesome. I needed this. I'm glad you took the time, man. We got to do this again. We should do this. Yeah, we'll do it again, man. We'll just connect.
Bro, hit me.
We'll connect.
Hit me. I'm here, brother. I love this. This is my favorite thing to do. So I appreciate you, big dog. Tell your wife and your baby, give your baby a kiss for me. Tell your wife I said hello.
Absolutely, Ryan. I'll be up in New York. Moonlighters in New York is going to happen, so I'll get my dates in order. And
hit me, bro. Hit me.
We'll do it. Yeah, man. Yeah, everyone else is tuning in. We'll see you on the Moonlighters. Ryan will be back. We'll do it again.
Yes, indeed.
All right, bro.
Appreciate you, big dog.
Peace.